Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazile's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged?
Yeah, I think it was.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes.
That, of course, was Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren responding to new allegations that the Democratic Party was stacked in favor of Hillary Clinton. These allegations come in an excerpt of an upcoming book by former interim Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Donna Brazile. In it, she says she learned of a deal between the Clinton campaign and the DNC that essentially allowed Clinton control of the committee even before she secured the nomination. It says the deal, quote, specified in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. All right. This thing needs to get unpacked. I got my panel here, Jason Johnson and Robert Traynham. I want to get both of your reactions. Robert, you and I spoke before the show, and Donna Brazile is a dear friend of yours.
Yep.
So walk us through this.
Well, I think three things. One, Donna is and was a loyal Democrat. You have to remember, she's been in Democratic politics for a long time, working for Eleanor Holmes Norton, being a national committee woman, being the interim chair a couple of years ago. I think it was 5 years ago. She walked into this, based on my understanding, thinking, okay, yeah, we got a little bit of problems here. We got some turbulence, but everything's okay. As a delegate, as I understand it, she was told, look, financially, we are fine. You know, obviously, we need to weed our garden in Michigan and Pennsylvania and some of these other places. But as I understand it, what you've just summarized, she walked into a hot mess on three fronts. One, clearly the Clinton campaign, 5 months even before.
Do you know that's two?
I'm sorry, two. But specifically, she walked into a thing where the Hillary campaign basically had a deal locked in place where staffing, personnel, and obviously all PR had to run past Brooklyn even before Hillary Clinton had the nomination. That's number one. Number two, she walked into something where, hey, you know, we're the Democrats. We're in control of the place. We own the White House, the whole 9 yards. And it seems like that the Democratic Party was asleep at the switch when it came to the finances and everything else. Thirdly, as you alluded to, this whole, you know, tipping the scales, Debbie Wasserman Schultz allegedly, you know, having the secret memo. Donna walked into this saying, holy moly, what did I just walk? First of all, I was lied to. And number two, what did I walk into? Because this is not illegal, but it is definitely unethical.
Yeah, so a couple things I want to point out. Number one, this is Obama's fault. A large part of this is Obama's fault.
Don't hear Jason Johnson say that too often.
You're a Democrat? I'm not a Democrat. I've worked for both. I get paychecks from everybody. But this is Obama's fault. It really is. He didn't do anything for his party. And if you talk to any Democrats in D.C., they will say all he cared about was OFA. He left his party broke. When they were losing seats and losing governorships and losing state houses, he didn't do anything. So that's how the DNC got into this desperate situation where they needed money, and then they had to go to Hillary Clinton because she was the only person who had cash. It's like Manafort running to the Russians, right? So that's what ends up happening. Now, here's the problem with all this. Number one, look.
That's not like Manafort.
It's not quite. It's not quite Manafort going to the Russians. Yeah. Not quite. But here's the problem here. You're going to have, this is going to end up being conflated, and it's already happening online where people are saying, oh my gosh, the whole thing is rigged. Look, it's not.
That's why the internet exists.
Exactly, so that people can get angry in their comment sections. I talked to several of my friends and colleagues who worked on the Sanders campaign. He was still going to lose. He was still going to lose. Even if this hadn't happened, he was still going to lose.
But that's an
important distinction to make.
that already exists in the Democratic Party.
Yes.
This thing's about to get way bigger. Think about the anger in those Bernie Sanders supporters in Vegas. Think about all those Bernie Sanders supporters who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton or did begrudgingly.
Well, look, they're going to be angry, and the entire system is corrupt, and it needs to be fixed. And look, I'm happy that Donna Brazile did her whole waiting to exhale, throw the match thing on the whole Democratic Party. She's going to walk away. I think this is wonderful. I think the party needs this lesson. I think they need this change, and I'm glad that the Clintons are going to be gone. But let's not pretend that it changed the outcome. That's what I think is important to remember.
Well, I think we need to be honest about this. There were lies that were told. I'll use that word now. There were lies that were told, number one. I think you're exactly right. What Donna walked into was a mess on so many different fronts, and that's not what we were told, okay? That we were told that the Democratic Party was in solid shape, meaning the American people, was in solid shape going into the primaries, but also the general election. As I understand it, I think we can roll some tape if we ever have it in the archives. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is on record as saying that there was no collusion between we are very neutral the whole 9 yards. We now know that that's not true.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz rampant incompetence, which everybody in D.C. knew about, is also Obama's fault because people told the president, look, you need to remove her, and he didn't want to do anything. She was Hillary's BFF.
He put a weak chairman in place, and one that could make the argument, why did he do that?
Exactly.
Okay, then what will history tell us about Donna Brazile? Because Donna Brazile has put herself out here. I mean, it has thrown a torch to the DNC. Maybe it's a positive. It's showing how broken the system is. Maybe things will get fixed. But at the same time, this is a gift of a lifetime to President Trump.
Oh, of course it is. And actually, I think it was a horrible idea for her to release this book 3 or 4 days before we have, major elections in New Jersey and major elections that are happening in Virginia where people are going to be angry about these kinds of issues. Look, I think anyone who actually cares about functional democracy will see her as a hero. Because if we have this level of corruption in our parties, I don't care if it's Republicans or Democrats, that is a problem. Look, I always thought that Bernie Sanders' sort of attitude in running for the Democratic nomination was ridiculous, like me trying out for the Canadian football team. I'm not Canadian. I don't have a right to march in there and get treated fairly. But at the same time, you can't have a completely corrupt system. It will prevent quality candidates from running in the future, and it'll lead to the kind of anger that'll leave the Democratic Party.
All right, then let me ask a dopey question. Bernie Sanders wasn't a Democrat.
Right.
Couldn't it be assumed, yep, Hillary Clinton's here, she's got the money, she's got the staff, she's going to clean up the completely broken DNC that Obama left broken? Couldn't we say, is there an argument to be made? It was assumed.
There's an argument to be made by that, but the reality, yes, he's a Democratic independent socialist. However, he ran in the Democratic primary, and he leaned on the DNC, obviously, for apparatus support. I mean,
but when she had all of this lined up,
right?
Did we know that he was going to be leaning on the DNC for support? Did we know?
Well, as I understand it, how the party rules work is that you do not lean on the DNC or the RNC until you officially become the Democratic nominee or the Republican nominee.
And here's the catch. This is something. Yeah, this is something that again I always criticize Bernie for just not being a smart politician. Obama knew this in 2008. That's why he started OFA. Obama, the senator, was like, you know what, I know this whole thing is going to be rigged. I know Hillary Clinton's got her fingers in her money and everything, so I'm going to start my own organization to run. And had Sanders done that, instead of whining and complaining about how the system wasn't working in his favor, he probably would have been more successful, even though he still would have lost.
Can I just ask the dumbest question then? If Obama knew this, if Obama knew that Hillary Clinton's got her fingers in everything and blah, 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 and she's a flawed character in every which way, why was she the candidate?
He's lazy and arrogant.
The established. Well, who else would have been? I mean, if you take a look at the Democratic candidates, it was obviously the governor from Maryland, O'Malley,
right.
Bernie Sanders. Well, that makes a point there. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. I mean, and perhaps Joe Biden.
For the highest job in the land, for the most powerful seat in the world. I don't know who else was it going to be. Isn't that stunning?
But this goes back. He didn't have a good succession plan.
That's right. That goes back to his point.
And their succession plan was basically, look, Obama thought it's like, hey, Brady's gone and Hillary's my Garoppolo, right? Like he thought the whole thing was going to move along smoothly, and he didn't want to accept the level of frustration that many Democrats still actually had with the Clintons. And so that was part of his issue.
Stephanie, this is why I'm going to go out. I know Twitter's going to blow up on this. This is why a Ronald Reagan and an FDR are revolutionary figures, because they're long gone off the political scene, but their coattails, we're still talking about them. You still hear a lot of congressmen, senators saying, in the age of Reagan, or I ran for office because of Reagan, or I ran for office because of Kennedy and FDR. My point simply is that there's a succession plan in place. Usually most presidents in their second terms start thinking about their legacy. Who is going to occupy this office when I depart? I don't believe Barack Obama ever had that thought.
I think there are a lot of people who are going to run for office because of Hillary Clinton and because of Donald Trump, but not in the same way that they did because of Ronald Reagan and FDR. They didn't spite up. Okie doke. Coming up, following the money, my favorite.